Hi, I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel, Designs with Paper. So glad you stopped by today. My card today is heavily inspired by a card I watched Kelly Latevola Taylor make on her YouTube channel. Here I've added a screenshot of Kelly's really pretty card. I highly recommend watching her videos. She is so incredibly talented and so creative. The card that she made required a die set that I do not own, so I used my Cricut machine to replicate the cuts. So let me know what you think. By the way, also the first slimline card I've made, so check it out. Thanks for stopping by. So to mimic the die set that Kelly used to make this cool card, I am using my Cricut machine and Design Studio. I went in and searched for door and found that purple one, which will work perfectly because it has those little panel cutouts. And then I searched for a Christmas tree. Yes, this was a Christmas card. And yes, I am just now uploading this video to YouTube because, well, life. We're going to call it Early Christmas 2021, not Late for Christmas 2020. Now that I have both of these images on my workspace, I'm going to move the Christmas tree out of the way and make that door big enough to see and work with. The first thing I'm going to do is go down there to the far right and select Hide Contours and hide the doorknob. I don't want that, don't need that part. Then I will copy and paste this door twice. I need 3 layers to have the same kind of dimensional effect. Each of the second and third layer, I'm going to hide all the contours so that it's just a blank rectangle. And really, I suppose I could have just made a blank rectangle now that I'm thinking about it, but I didn't. I made the door panels each 3 different colors, a light and a medium and dark, so that we had that dimension that Kelly had on her card. In order to get the panels on the door layers cut out, I'm going to have to do some slicing. Now, in Design Studio, you cannot, or I cannot because I haven't figured out how, to have more than one image on a shape at the same time to slice it. So I could not do all 6 panels at the same time. Basically, what I had to do was create a square and a rectangle that fit into those panels on the dark door, and then layer them into the lighter panel, move the door, slice the pink panel or the pink square into the gray panel, move the pink and delete the part that I didn't want, layer them back up, and do that 6 times for each layer. So it was kind of time consuming. It wasn't difficult. I think I have sped up this footage like 6 or 8 times normal speed so that I can get through it quickly. But each time I just put the dark layer on top, layered the pink layer, moved the gray layer, selected the pink and the light layer, and then sliced and deleted the part of the light gray layer I didn't need. So once we're finished here, we have the back layer and the top layer with all of that little dimension. So the next thing I'm going to do is the middle layer. And you can see I'm using the X and Y axis buttons in the toolbar to make sure that both panels are lined up at the top. I have X0, Y0, so they're both perfect. They're all in the same place, so they line up. Now for this middle pattern, the middle color, sorry, not panel, the panel, goodness sakes, can't speak English today. I want the cutouts to be slightly smaller than they were on the top layer. So I just placed the square and the rectangle inside that light layer, made them slightly smaller, and then did the same thing. Layered it up, positioned it correctly, sliced it, deleted the part I didn't want, and did that again. And I did it 6 times for each of the middle and the light layers. And eventually what we have is a 3-layer card with a nice dimension like you would see on a paneled door. So there I've got the last little piece cut out and ta-da, deleted. And now we can use the XY00 axis thing again to line them all up and send the darker panels to the back. And it's really cool. And then I'm going to group them together into one image and create a shape for my card base. Now I wanted this to be a slimline card, so that card panel is 8.5 by 3.5, and then I resized that door. The next thing I'm going to do is use a triangle shape and a square shape to make a roof and a porch, because we have to put that Christmas tree somewhere. So I copied the base of the card, so I had something to do the same thing, to slice and stack with. So there you can see I have the front porch, and then I'm going to copy that front porch shape and use it also for copy the roof shape and use it for the front porch. And then I decided that it needed a little bit of dimension on what would be the down step of the front step. So I am going to get a gray rectangle and make the step look like it has a step down. Now I've pulled that Christmas tree in and sized it. And here's where I decided it needed a little more dimension so that you could tell it was stepping down. And I've kind of figured out how I want that to look. And I put one up on the top on the roof line as well. And then I decided the front door needed some decoration. So I went in and found a wreath. And all of these images are images that I've already purchased or already uploaded to Design Space. The wreath, I wanted to have a little bit more greenery. So I copied the green part and changed the color on it so that I had two colors of greens and kind of rotated it so it filled out just a little bit more. When I cut this, I do not cut the little red berries on the tree or the little red berries on the wreath. I'm going to use something else. So here, through the magic of YouTube, you can see that I already have the door pieces and the roof and the porch and the wreath and the tree all cut out and ready to assemble. My card base is this piece of paper that is 7 inches across and 8.5 inches from top to bottom. I need to put the door together so that I can put the other pieces on. And I'm going to use that red Stampin' Up! Stickles glitter glue stuff to put the berries on the wreath and the tree. Excuse me, got a little froggy in my throat there. I am going to use my ATG gun to assemble the door layers here because I make a mess with liquid glue. It is in my arsenal. I use it when I have to, but my go-to is usually my ATG gun. And one of the other reasons I love this is because if I don't line something up just right and I have not really added some serious pressure to the layers, I can pull them apart and adjust, which you will see I need to do here because I get the top layer on just not quite right. Choosing the 3 colors of gray really did make this door have some really cool dimension. And I wish I had used a different color mat on my desk so that you could see that dark gray layer. It's like the same color as my cutting mat on my desk. But see, there you go. Undo, redo. Paper crafting is awesome that way because not only does cardstock have 2 sides, sometimes, if you're lucky, you can peel it apart without damaging anything. So there we go. Front door together. The panels look really good. They're inset and it looks like a front door. So here are my porch and my roof pieces, and I need to assemble them, but I think first I want to put them on my card base because when I was making the card on the design studio, I knew I was going to have to cut off part of the bottom. Only problem is I forgot that when I glued it on, ended up having to cut off the roof and then readjust because it looked a little weird. But anyway, I digress. Here is my card base, and as you can see, it is a slimline card, and it will fit perfectly in a regular business size envelope. And I'm just kind of reinforcing that score line or the fold line with my Teflon bone folder there. So here we go. I'm starting with the porch. Even though I knew in my head, right there, I should start with the roof, but I didn't. I started with the porch. And I've glued the lighter shade on the bottom first, because as you come out the door, the front part of the step you step on is going to be lighter, and then that darker piece is going to go on the down part of the step that would be in shadow. And I think that that just worked out exactly how I pictured it in my head. So then I am aligning the door here and just kind of centering it on the front of that card. And here's where I realized, shoot, I forgot I was going to do the top first. And it does go off the card, which is okay. It can be trimmed. It is just paper. But the corners of the card sticking out there were kind of weird. And the dimension of the roof and the angles of the roof line were kind of weird. And especially after I trimmed the top off, it was really weird. But I just fixed it and moved on. No harm, no foul. It is a handmade Christmas card. If I wanted perfection, I would buy a card at the store. Or I don't know. If I wanted perfection, I'd start over. And I didn't want perfection. I just wanted Christmas cards. So here I have my little Christmas tree ready to go on the step. And I did decide to use my Big Mama foam tape here. This roll is literally the size of your head when you get it. And I am down probably, I don't know, maybe half or 2/3 down the roll of tape. I am not even kidding you. I've probably used half that roll of tape. That's how big that roll of foam tape is. I use it for everything. I have heard rumors that Amazon is not carrying it anymore. I hope that is not true. I haven't dared look because I don't know what I will do if I cannot buy that gigantic roll of foam tape. Anyway, back to the card. So here I've got my little Christmas tree down there on that front porch. And then I'm going to add the wreath. And I will use a little bit of liquid glue, my little Tombow Mono. This glue really is good because if you put it on and let it dry, it is repositionable. So it's awesome for stencils and making masks. However, I make a mess. Now I needed a star for that tree. And I have this white kind of shimmery, pearlescent paper scrap sitting on my desk. And I thought, hey, that'd be perfect. So I used a Stampin' Up! Punch and cut out a star that was like the perfect size. And then I decided to go to town with my stickles. Now, anybody who's used glitter glue stickles, whatever you want to call it, knows that it is kind of a mess. Well, it turns out mine was all mess and it did not work. So my plan B became little red sequins because every crafter has a stash of sequins in their craft supply. So I just used my, what is that little tool called? Your gem picker or whatever it's called. I got it on Amazon. I don't know what it's called. Quick pickup stick and the Tombow Mono to add glue to the little tree and put the sequins on. And then I went around the wreath and everywhere that there was supposed to be a red cutout berry, I just put a little sequin on it. And I kind of fussed with them. They don't all dump out right side up, go figure. You have to turn them around and fuss with them. So I did. I fussed with them and added the sequins. And eventually, my little wreath was all adorned with its little red berries. So here I've got to figure out what to do about the doorknob. I remember we hid the contours of that doorknob. And I have this brad square. And so I cut the little brad legs off, or whatever you want to call them, and mashed it flat and put a piece of little teeny tiny piece of foam tape, double thickness inside that brad, and used my reverse tweezers to kind of try and hold it into place and then push it down and hold it down. And it was, a three-dimensional object, so it wasn't sitting flat, but there we go. So here are some photographs of the card. Let me know what you think. I think for not having the dies that Kelly used, and it just turned out perfect. Hey, thanks for stopping by.